TMO Online Television, its associates and affiliates may not be liable for views expressed on this show. Viewer discretion advised.
Let me tell you, I pity those Ssempijja people. How can you punish people for saving their money? Then it dissolve National Security Fund.
I see.
Not no court we not Ngalabiye. Nali manyi nti abayina emitwe minene baba bagezi nedda. I don't respect it. I respect knowledge akili. It tells you me I don't respect the big sizes. Ssempijja, let me tell you. Ssempijja who slaughtered pregnant cows for a party. Where does he get the credibility? Bali bamuko nti yagire naye ba Ssempijja, if I die and I go to heaven and God gives me a head of a person who resembles Ssempijja, I rather remain in heaven. Sikoma ukunsi. Ssempijja atunda omusenyu n'agumala mu Lwera. Billions. Where did he put all these billions? To be used like a robot.
I see.
This money, Ssempijja is a defense. Even if it is a security matter, it should be general muhwezi.
I see.
Never Ssempijja mutuyeyo. Ssempijja, your political competence, political turning courts. That I come, a Minister of Defense. You wolole. Kati Ssempijja yewolole wa bahati.
I see.
Oyinza kukyetoogera naduka kati ndowooza bava mulimba bwa vice.
I see.
Me no. Kati mukubireko muntu. N'olaba enganga, n'olaba empuuta, n'olaba enganga. Are you Minister of Finance?
Kampuni ya Kasamitala Kkwo Logistics Company ensobozesezza okubatuusako pulogulaamu eno ebagamba osobola okugula ekintu kyonna ng'okijja China. Tuyina office e Gwanzu Bayonne District eyo ojja kusobola okutumyayo ekintu kyonna, oba oli ssekinnoomu, oba oli wa store, oba oli musuubuzi, oba otunda bintu by'oku online naye nga ggwe obijja China, njagala obitume ne Kasamitala obakubeko nga naawe wabifunye ku muwendo ogwa wansi n'obongeramu katono. Kampuni ya Kasamitala bw'emala okubigguliza ate ebireeta n'ebiteeka ku store eri ku Total Business Center mu Uganda, ekizimbe kiri mu kibuga ekyo ewaali Total opposite Jesco Building. Gwenno ayagala okubaako byotumya osobola okugendawo physically bw'oba tobakubidde, nate alina bye yatumya osobola okugendawo nga tewabagamba bikuleetera waka weebiri ku store ku Total Business Center. Nkulayirira ne bw'oba wagula dde ebintu e China bajja bikuleetera bakuyambeko okusasula omusolo oba kiyite customs, clearance of customs and government taxes, ndowooza byonna bwe biri awo, ate basobole okuba nga bakikutuusiza mu ngeri gye bayita eya shipment ku nnyonyi Ssaako ne ku mmeeri. Kampuni ya Kasamitala gyeyambisa okyuse mu nkola ya business kubanga ensi yafunda. It's a global village. Osobola okusinzira Kampala n'ogula ekintu kyonna ky'oyagadde ng'okiguze China.
Tubaaniriza nnyo, mwebale kutuwagira, mwebale kutulaba. Mutabani wa Mmole Namatovu Mirundi, Tamale Mirundi Senior, waali n'olwaliro okubaweereza. Ssebo osiibye otya buzeeyi?
Gyendi.
Ssebo. Abantu baagala nnyo programu yo zonna. Naye specifically ey'olw'Essande nga bali
waka. Anti kakati ekizibu nti media, the role of media at a mature level is to set the agenda setting. Kyekiruma abantu, kyekisaana okuteesebwako. Kakati media mu Uganda yafa, yawambibwa abafere, bamafiya. Titoyinza kera kumakya n'ogamba nti eri omusajja agamba nti mwattiranga abantu mu malwaliro, nti abaana 4,000 batwalanga ebweru mu makampuni okukolerayo baba bateenoga ne bazitunda. Mu mawulire tekiriimu. Kitegeeza nti media bagiwamba, tesobola kukola loolo yaayo.
Ate era singa tekyali
ndowooza baagulamu shares kati ezo monitor independent media. Independent of who? Baziwamba. Era mmwe mbebaza nnyo nti mmwe tulemedde ku mulamwa kubanga alternative tuyina ekituyita mu economics pure monopoly. Pure monopoly kitegeeza you are the only person who produces that commodity. Ekituyina ekita competitive monopoly. Competitive monopoly kitegeeza owanayire mulala n'owabbeera omulala tulina monopoly competitive tuwadde okola bbiya naye sigwe wekka kati eki kyatuyambye mu Uganda be bammwe ti nga bwe bakontrolinga empapula zaabwe empapula ezo zempita toilet papers they are not newspapers yes buli kintu kyonna ekiruma eggwanga nti kati Kenya bakutte baminisita abalya ssente mu Olimpiki ezaali e Brazil in 2016 they were arrested in Kenya but in Uganda our volleyball team was evicted from a hotel warranting Afende Muhoozi to pay for them. In my opinion, Afende Muhoozi would not have paid. Afende Muhoozi would have made these people to vomit the money. Mugenda mutie bwa Kagame. If you have a neighbor who is hostile to you, how can your son go there and steal food?
I see.
You go to Rwanda, a volleyball team, it goes to Rwanda. You would go with everything.
I see.
Because, you know, this man can take advantage of any excuse.
Yes.
Naye sente bazi ba abavolleyball.
I see.
Minister Tako, what they did, they bought the stories from the newspapers, the toilet papers. You see, the mafia have killed all institutions. Newspapers have lost. Ugandans have lost confidence in independent monitor. You are like saying the Democratic Republic of Korea. Is Korea democratic? Independent monitor. When a monitor says independent monitor, even if you read it through, they are economists. Read through the economists. I wish I had a copy of Monitor today. The economists talk about abusing M7 and other issues, but they don't talk about the real issues. I have never seen an economist in the Monitor talking about the organic case. No, but they are aware. You don't see these Monitor economists talking about the issues that affect the mafia.
I see.
Segirinya. The effort was to ensure that Segirinya and his friend were released, turn it into politics. But where do you negotiate criminality?
I see.
That when you go to Mengo, Parliament, Nani, Tebiriyo, Lukwago, Mbabazi Yagamba, let us negotiate with Lukwago. But they had put up a commission of inquiry headed by Agatalinda, Bagameire. But Bagameire didn't know that she was investigating an enale money called Lukwago.
I see.
Bagameire, has he been paid?
No.
Lukutana abused her in public.
Yes.
Kakati ebyo. Kati Museveni yamugira kikubula muzamulete. Since sigenda yo. That's where I disagree with the president. You use the people and your mafias, dump them.
I see.
What has Bagameire received?
But if Museveni appoints someone, where do mafias get there?
Museveni does not rule this country alone. They can even confuse him by writing fake reports about you and has to respect his intelligence. This is why I decided not to work in government. What do I lose? Can you strip a naked man twice?
No.
I'm already naked.
I see.
Whatever they wanted, took with them. I have security and their car. If they want their car, they can take it. Security, I'm a senior citizen. If I'm killed, the blame will be put on the government. What do I have? So even if the intelligence writes about me that I'm a bad man, I'm a criminal, they cannot, because you can drag me to court and it backfires.
I see.
So you can, for me, this is why I decided to go home. Kakati nkugamba nti ebintu byaba Amawulire ebiruma abantu si bye boogera tibali badde pressure yali badde kuba Amawulire nge Kenya wali badde wagamba somebody must resign for starving for embarrassing Uganda in Kigali.
I see.
But they talk about Muhoozi's intervention nabagamba nti bobanga if you have a wound on your thigh which requires to be repaired by the doctors and they cut a piece from your buttocks and cover this wound on your thigh. Who has donated it to you? Is there a donor?
No.
You have donated to yourself. So Afene Muhwezi is a part of government. Even if he pays, these people must be arrested.
But earlier you had suggested that Muhoozi gets himself involved in such things.
Yes, in the politics. But for instance, if Muhoozi is a patron of Simba, like Oito Joe. But you know, we have 4 years, office 5 years ahead of election. There's no more challenging time than graduating from a colony prince to a king.
I see.
That's why I pity him. The moment somebody is encouraging him to come out as the de facto successor so that he can be targeted.
The Balamus. They always shout his name around social media.
To get money from him because they're idle now. And once you are used to finishing, where has he invested? All of the money Balaam got from these people, Balaam would have a factory. What does he have?
He has an events company.
Yes, we don't have investors.
I see.
When I went to the president, I published a book called The Holocaust. Empty talk. The president asked me, what do you want after the elections? I told him I wanted a printing press. Museveni donated the printing press to me. Although the money which I was given was not the real money that Museveni had allocated to me. But the printing, I used the printing press as an investor. I published many books.
I see.
But if I had constructed rentals, whenever every Ugandan is poor, you will see a situation
you're
where
running
people,
up and down with the tenants.
So, where do these billions, the Balamus get? The Balamus are fronts. You don't have money. The real people who steal money are behind the Balamus.
I see.
Yes.
Mzee, talking about Muhoozi, he went ahead and tweeted about Guinea-Conakry in a very controversial tweet where he said he would discipline Guinea-Conakry in a single day.
Let me tell you, I mean said that if I attack Rwanda, I will have breakfast in Kigali and lunch and come back. But Habyarimana how to leave the army?
I see.
Yes. Habyarimana how to leave the army? 2, they are blocks. Unlike the East African Federation they are talking about, that does not have a military pact. If you don't have a military pact, then you are talking, you are engaging in political rhetoric. The South Africans have SADC, a military. Any country that cannot sacrifice its children for overseas or domestic interests is not a country. That's why I already say China. When you use China, apart from having a veto at the Security Council, who has ever seen a Chinese fighting abroad in peacekeeping?
I see.
Nobody has. China has not gone to war for the last 50 years. That's 1. 2, when you say that if a commander-in-chief gave us orders, you are saying you don't respect the sovereignty and the borders.
I see.
Yes. Because sovereignty means the president, if the president does not want coups in Africa, he would have presented his paper, convince his colleagues that where coups, where you could create an African force. That in any country, that when soldiers take a power, then the African force moves in. It must be an African force.
I see.
But we don't have a government in an African government. What we are talking about, we are still guided by sovereignty.
I see.
Africa is divided into blocks. And over the blocks is only East Africa, which does not have a military pact.
I see.
SADC has. That's why Kabila invoked SADC and entered the Congo. And flushed Rwanda and Uganda out.
I see.
Although it ended in a draw. ECOWAS has already arrived in Guinea. As you are talking about invading Guinea, which is not a neighboring country. ECOWAS, because these are members of ECOWAS.
We have seen them.
Regional regional, President Museveni says that it is better to use a regional organization than a continental one. This is why Museveni managed to stabilize Burundi. He was with Nyerere assigned to stabilize Burundi. Yes, because when you are a region at the regional level, you know the undercurrents. ECOWAS knows the undercurrents in West Africa. They know how to deal with these people. And unfortunately, the Nigerians and the Chadians who form the bulk of ECOWAS army, these are generals. Buhari is a former general, this young man is a general. So they can solve these issues amicably. So when you say that the commander-in-chief, no, we have sovereignty. Me, I will help him. I like this man. I like Mukozi. Why? Me, I don't remember what people do to me. When I was sacked from State House in September, in December, Mukozi rang me and said, these are machinations are not from the president. We appreciate what you do, and he even gave me money for Christmas. When I was realized that I had been put in a category of advisors who don't get money to move as a director, I can give whenever I remember to move as a statement, but I can give Mirundi a job in the middle. That Tumwevas can give me a job. How qualified is Tumwevas to give me a job? When the president
they drop you from presidential job.
Whenever I remember this job, I will hate Tumwevas forever. Humiliation. I can give me you are stupid. Humiliating me. So, yeah, you know that misinterpreting what somebody does is a strategy in propaganda. When they wanted to remove Kazibwe as the vice president, Bagamba, Kazibwe had said that the uncircumcised men are dirty. Is Museveni a circumcised man? Is he a Muslim? What he says? He said that, you see, non-Muslim men are dirty because they don't circumcise. I see. Non-Muslim.
Of course, the president is a Christian. Yes.
The Baganda have a saying, Bakaichitangiven Bonababi, you include your mother. Because your mother is also. All of my father's wives are Agiri. Then your mother is also Agiri.
Of course.
Kakati when Kasibu came up and said it was attributed to her. That do you know, Kasibu had said, and circumcised men are dirty. Because she was having an affair with a Muslim man, Kajimu. They also said that Kasibu had said, men's feet stink. Abasajja bawunya ebigere. Including the one who appointed you. Why do you think this is what Kazibwe had said?
I don't know.
Kazibwe, as vice president, was sitting in here.
That woman was
was
she even suggested that women beat their husband.
Here into Musoke. And there was a battle to give into Musoke. Because Museveni said, when Zenawi visited Uganda, Museveni told the Ugandan parliament, don't underrate my visitor. When you hear Prime Minister, this is not Kintu Musoke type. This is a problem with Museveni. That he embarrassed Kintu Musoke. Chief means prime, head prefect. So in Uganda's case, a prime minister does not have executive powers. When you are not talking about the executive prime minister of Britain, no. When you talk about Alupo, it's not comparable to, apart from sharing a name, nomino, a misnomer. Alupo is not compared to the Kenyan one. These ones come on the same ballot, which means Luto is a president for continuity. In case Uhuru died before completing, this man would take it over. But in the case of Uganda, even if Museveni is incapacitated, Alupo only keeps for 90 days, and the movement caucus sits and selects who can carry the Rubengo.
I see.
Yes.
So
this is why
this
woman in Tanzania is making, I'm coming back, this is a woman good. She cannot, the moment Chama cha Mapinduzi endorses the woman from Zanzibar, the opposition Chama Mapinduzi will be defeated. Me, I know, she's asserting herself that I'm in charge. When you see people shouting, Kanyama does not shout. Abaganda bakugamba ti omumbejja ajage omubi yayogera bane muvira omumbejja omumbejja suppose kakati omukazi we Tanzania, this Tanzanian president is uncomfortable. She feels inferiority complex. That's why she's telling everybody, I will even come back, have you been endorsed by the Chama cha Mapinduzi delegates conference? She fears. She has appointed a number of female ministers, Minister of Defense, a woman, even again. Why? Because they want to tame the army.
I see.
That the army must be humiliated, must be tested to believe that even a woman can be commander-in-chief.
I see.
This is why she has appointed a Minister of Defense, a woman.
I see.
She wants to send the message that if soldiers reject a female Minister of Defense, if soldiers are used to female ministers, but it can be poisoned.
Of course.
Blacks in America, before Obama, Reverend Jesse Jackson, knew that it was not time for them to become president. I can bet my money. This woman will never be endorsed by Chama cha Mapinduzi because the moment you endorse a woman from Zanzibar, a Muslim, the mainland as the opposition, will you maybe Chama cha Mapinduzi will rig elections.
I see.
But without rigging
it's only
elections,
possible when they have rigged.
it cannot. Tanzania is a Christian country in the mainland.
Now,
what these people have done, Ali Hassan Mwinyi, a Muslim from Zanzibar, was propelled into power by Nyerere. Then even this union between Zanzibar and the mainland is an artificial one. The mainlanders don't see its benefits. It is historical. It is intended to please Nyerere.
I see.
Two, when this man went, they brought a mainlander, Mukapa Joseph. After Joseph Mukapa, they brought a mainlander, a Muslim mainlander, Chikwete. After Chikwete, they brought who? So you cannot, this woman cannot even win in Zanzibar.
Now, Mzee,
so
what is it about Uganda when a vice president has no power, almost even close to presidency?
When the president appointed that woman, I see three things as a political scientist. One, Museveni is reducing succession tension. He has appointed somebody who cannot take a power. Alupo knows it herself that she can be assassinated. Hey. Why were rumors?
This is diffusing.
Yes, why were rumors that Museveni was dead? To create a rumor that Museveni was dead, they were inciting the army. They were testing, somebody was testing the army. Can the population accept this? Two, Alupo was, I know Alupo, when she was in Ministry of Education, she was very close to Mbabazi. Whenever Alupo wanted to embarrass this man, that's why I pity them on Miyingo. She would do, at one time, Mbabazi told Miyingo in Alupo's presence, do you know that you are not a minister city? Hit him with the Katebe.
I see.
Do you know that Alupo wanted to grab my land? He went to the president. Do you know that 5 billion disappeared in State House, intended for teachers, when Alupo was there? Do I respect Alupo myself?
I don't know.
Alupo wanted to grab with Emiwendo. Museveni rang me. I hear this talk, I said, that is my land. And I grabbed it and swallowed it. I've only carried the Muchomo. There are people carrying a Bisambi. I took it and sold it to 2 million at the Chagrin of Alupo. Me.
Are you serious?
Because for me, they think I come from Lakai they can assume me. I'm more intelligent. I'm a strategist than these people. Once I decide to do something, I do it.
So you're saying Alupo is not a clean one? Also?
No, Alupo cannot become a president. In fact, President Moi kept it. He did not have vice president for 6 months.
But
6 years.
But when you realize that
to reduce. Museveni is reducing tension.
When we analyze that, Mzee,
that if Museveni appoints a person who can succeed him, it creates tension. This is what I'm telling you. That the enemies of Muhozi are dragging him into a trap. The moment where you see that you were the de facto successor, those who don't want you will go away.
Yes.
You will inherit the enemies of your father, like President Kagame. Because do you think that President Kagame, who said that the border will not be open, will he allow the extension of Museveni's regime? Those who don't want Museveni, you inherit them immediately, and we have 5 years ahead.
Once you place yourself,
I said
for future deployment.
Yes, I said that there is no challenging time than being a colonial prince to graduate into a commoner. Prince Charles has remained there as a colonial prince for years.
I see.
Yes. So, when you declare Muhozi as a de facto successor, you are making 4 mistakes. One, people run away. In Africa, when you see somebody being succeeded, is dead, you're sick. Are you saying that Museveni is sick? Is about to die? If a family he has not even completed 2 years, what is the excitement? Two,
when you see people taking positions,
politics and soccer are dangerous games. This is when extra time is dangerous. What can Muhozi remain? He's in the army. He takes risky ventures. What if he's assassinated? So it is not good. Unless he leaves the army, unless he turns into two, how will he be endorsed? How will he be endorsed by the delegates conference?
He makes these tweets himself.
And I'm telling you, I don't believe. There are people who are close to him like Emiwendo. Emiwendo is a double dealer, he's a political prostitute. He deals with him. Emiwendo is a double dealer. Emiwendo works for Rwaboko. There is a Rwaboko project. Yes, there is a Rwaboko project, and the president is aware of the Rwaboko project. Rwaboko had assembled the team, that's why Rwaboko hates me. So, if there is a Rwaboko project and Emiwendo doubles, Kabi, it is Kasajja Kakuluku, Kalieno Neno, the most dangerous person to Muhozi is Emiwendo and to Mwebas.
Are you serious?
Yes. I can play tapes to that effect. Kaliya sente ne kaliya n'entu yako ne kaddeno ne kaddeno ne kaddeno. And he trusts Emiwendo. Muhozi trusts Emiwendo. But Emiwendo is a political prostitute.
I see.
Yes.
Mzee, njagala okubuuza ku by'okujja ssente z'abantu.
Yes.
Ku akaunti zaabwe.
Yes.
Twalabye Minister Ssempijja ajja okunyonyola.
Oyo tayina. Ssempijja, let me tell you. Ssempijja, who slaughtered pregnant cows for a party, where does he get the credibility? Bali bamuko nti yagire naye ba Ssempijja, if I die and I go to heaven and God gives me a head of a person who resembles Ssempijja, I rather remain in heaven. Sikoma ukunsi because baba tanyiga baba batya nti enkya bakukubye ne bakumalawo enkya ne bakuwa emizinga omwana omugezi bw'omukuba ne bw'omuwa ebbere talirya naye ba Ssempijja bo baakula batya and they are wealthy. Ssempijja atunda omusenyu n'agumala mu Lwera billions. Where did he put all these billions? To be used like a robot.
I see.
This money, Ssempijja is a defense. Even if it is a huge matter, it should be general. Mukwezi.
I see.
Never Ssempijja mutuyiyeyo. Ssempijja, your political competence, political turncoat. That I come, a Minister of Defense. You wolole. Kati Ssempijja ye wolole wa Bahati.
I see.
Oyinza kukyetoogera najja dduka kati ndowooza baba mulimba bwa vice.
I see.
Me, no.
I see.
Let me tell you, I pity those Ssempijja people. Me, nobody. To use my brain, I consider it as one would use it for a homosexual relationship. Toyinza kujereka mutwe gwange. And they have wealth.
I see.
Bagaga. Nibo jogo ni baba ni kumitwe ni baba nyola ko ni baba kolachi. Me I cannot. Let me tell you. Let us look at the matter. A decision is dictated by the past, evaluating the past and the future. And what do you want to achieve? What does this man want to achieve?
I just said that.
How can you punish people for saving their money? Then it dissolve National Security Fund.
I see.
Not no court way, not Zoyogerako. Two, this man is the trade.
I see.
He would be concentrating on finding a market for Mukene.
I see.
Bahati omulimo gwenga minister wa trade. Kunonyereza Mukene na maliba. Haijizi. Katali.
Alimbira.
But he is still, his mind is still stuck in M.i.S.O finance. Katumukubire ko mungu. Nolabe nganga, nolabe mputa, nolabe nganga. Are you M.i.S.O finance?
I see.
Are you M.i.S.O finance?
No.
It happened to Margaret Thatcher. When Margaret Thatcher was removed by the Conservative Party in a rebellion, a coup, she retired. Then she would wake up one morning, every morning, to wait for a chauffeur to drive her to Policy 10, the office of the British Prime Minister. She would listen to news and say, I hear Prime Minister. Margaret Thatcher had to consult psychologists to tell her that you are no longer the British Prime Minister. I think Bahati needs a psychologist to turn his brain from Minister of Finance to trade, where he must market Mukene. The role of Bahati is to market Mukene. We have a lot of Mukene, but Mukene has
don't have the market.
Tuina mariba manji nyo, Bahati yali badeye maria kukutunda mariba, mu finance ya vamu. Ngalabiye, Bahati must concentrate on issues related to trade. When the Kasita were threatening with the strike, I did not hear Bahati's name. I even hear that Bahati is driving a vehicle with a number plate belonging to M.i.S.O. And if it tells you, me, I don't respect the big sizes. I don't respect the Nalimanyi ntabayine mitwe minene baba bageji nedda. I don't respect it. I respect the knowledge akili. How first of all, why do people put their money away from the banks? Yes. A researcher like me, I can tell you, they are talking about COVID violence in marriage. The couples are fighting each other because that's rubbish. Have you seen a couple, a minister divorcing his wife? Have you seen people who are fluent fighting with these stories of women fighting their husbands over food have gained prominence because there are people who want to use them to agitate, especially those non-government groups, that there is violence because of COVID. We need to move in. They need the money. We need a therapy. Those who have been fighting have been fighting.
Of course.
Those who have been fighting in the slums have been fighting, but because the media did not highlight them.
I see.
Have you telling me a minister or a manager of a parastatal or a respected man who has fought with his wife during the COVID time? If they are fighting, they were started before COVID.
I see.
So bakulimba kakati to finze nkubuza nenkugamba if you move on all highways in Uganda where you found a modernized market, it will be empty. The traders will prefer a such market to an open place.
I see.
Gende Mbizinya, when the Catholic Church rehabilitated in Mbizinya to make it a market, a modern market, they shifted to where?
I see.
Yes. Why?
The expenses?
No.
Don't you think they are...
Refrigeration system. Ennyaanya zijja kwengera mu mabaati. Kyobulaba nti obutale bwonna obuli ku luguudo obusanga buli bweru in the open. Why? It is nature that keeps these tomatoes, the perishables, because the government has failed to provide a cooling system in those markets they are constructing. People leave those furnished markets to the open.
Because these have roofs,
yes,
create a lot of heat for their vegetables.
Kakati, ask yourself, how come that in Uganda you have beautiful girls, Makerere University leavers, who are prostitutes?
Imagine.
There are two issues. The old women value their bodies. You cannot have a woman who can move naked in the village except if he is a lunatic. But Makerere University students are used to going naked to expose their bodies so they can be prostitutes. Two, the buyers of prostitutes speak good English. They are Bazungu.
I see.
So a woman who does not speak good English will not get good customers. And when you see they have zones, post office, those are old women, of layers. When you go to this fairway, yes, those ones are younger people. They are from Makerere, they walk from Makerere. When you go to speak around National Conference Center, they shout obscenities. These are the average who never went to school, because they pick people. There is a hotel there where they are taken. Kakati tutegeera what has caused this problem? Why do Ugandans avoid the banks?
Why do
because
they prefer
banks collapsed one after the other.
To keep their
when
money
this man was the Minister of Finance, a person in the Bank of Uganda, omukazi obugulu, the raggedy woman, could sell a bank on phone.
I see.
Yes. Kati a banka bwe zaagwa abantu badduka mu ki?
Mu banka.
Like these people who live in modern markets. Because in nature, they prefer nature to warm their perishable goods than being in hot modern markets.
That are roofed with iron sheets.
Yes. Kakati ekyo kyekizibu kye bayina. Ask yourself, why do people keep markets, money, not in the banks? Banks collapse one after the other. And the only beneficiaries, you see, people don't know. If you have a bank account, the only person who is defunded immediately is the one who is 3 million. Why? More than 3 million, a person with more than 3 million must consult a consultant like me to tell you a viable bank, a stable bank.
I see.
Kakati those who don't have, who have more than 3 million, they must wait a liquidator because the 3 million is insured by the central bank. Kati assets z'abantu zabbibwa. The central bank has withdrawn a case against Kuleni Bank. Why? I said they are responsible.
I see.
Zanzibar, Gurina and Zanzibar was solvent. Gurina and Dar es Salaam was solvent. Gurina and Nairobi was solvent. The problem was that headquarters.
Gurina and Uganda. And
when the Gurinaland, when it was about to close, Chigundu insisted that whoever had an account in the Greenland Bank, that the bank had deducted 20,000 shillings without his consent. People, this is when you cannot steal money from a man, a person.
I see.
That man is mad. He wants to overthrow Museveni's government.
I see.
He was in the finance recently, created all the problems we are going through. What should a sensible man do? A man who is not obsessed, a man who is not mad. And me, I have a low opinion about Bahati. Why? Bahati spearheaded this homosexual bill. And I asked myself, on which side was Bahati? Bahati was supporting the homosexuals. Why? By bringing a law, you are confirming that you have homosexuals in your country. Do we have homosexuals in our country?
I don't
know. Two, what a sharp knife helps who? The slaughterer or the animal?
The goat.
Yes, to die immediately, not to feel the pain. Kakati, Bahati brought to a law to regulate how we should deal with homosexuals. Among the Baganda, a homosexual is tied in dried bananas and burnt. So Bahati was an agent of the homosexuals. But many people who didn't know Bahati thought that Bahati was fighting homosexuality. Bahati and Mwenda very close. Mwenda went, and this man, there was also another opportunist. It's called who? Fox. Fox was also accompanied, because what they wanted was to tell these people, the homosexuals, that they are established a cell in Uganda.
I see.
How can you impose a law when it is not going to serve nothing? So now what do we do? How do we solve this problem? If we don't want people to save money on their accounts, also dissolve National Security Fund.
Because we save there for life.
Yes.
Until you
Two,
you retire.
This man doesn't know that Uganda, because of money, the COVID issue is exaggerated. Uganda is classified in the red countries. Red countries mean where they have a lot of COVID cases. For instance, in Britain, if a Ugandan who is living in Britain leaves Britain to Uganda and goes back, he must give the British government £2,000 and they are isolated who have this money. But he doesn't know it. That these people are sending money here to be stored.
Yes.
I was talking to a hawker. I asked the hawker, how do you survive these days? The hawker told me, we have decided, 6 of us, to hire the same room. Don't you cheat yourselves? He said, no. We cannot cheat ourselves because each keeps his savings on his telephone number, on his phone.
I see.
That even if the number is stolen, I get a new SIM card and receive my money.
Yes.
This man doesn't know. And he had a meeting with Tumwebas. Where you see Tumwebas? You know, you're not Tumwebas is the most dangerous. Tumwebas and Mwenda are the most dangerous people. I wish Idi Amin was here. So to have around, be fires. But Tumwebas we are about to. The issue of Tumwebas is going to be solved. If Tumwebas is not lucky, he will spend the rest of his life in the European jail.
I see.
Yemanyi is of Faris Obuton. Kuvanga kwa sajjo kuli kwakabera kwonna lerwe where everywhere Tumwebas has been, even in the president's office. Tumwebas is a close friend of Mbabazi. Mbabazi believes that where he failed, Tumwebas will succeed. I'm telling you. Can I play Tumwebazi's meeting with Mbabazi?
I see.
Kakati nze kubuya ne gamba nti abo baagala kusuula Museveni. The moment you touch on people's money, Binaisa changed the money, what many people don't know. And Binaisa wanted to steal money. Binaisa would disqualify certain numbers. From such a number to such a number is a fake to steal the money. Binaisa didn't give very little time for people to change their money. And you see, do you know that the people used to sleep in the banks? Binaisa removed B.
We had that even Museveni did that.
But when Museveni came, we entered with 1 million. Knock on 2 zeros. Subjected it to 30% tax. We left the bank with 70,000. Everybody was happy. Why? People in Imbalala did not receive different amount of money. In Imbala way, try it today. If Museveni tries to check money, to change money, Uganda will rise up. Has lost the credibility because of people like Bahati.
I see.
So one, if you don't want, after realizing the reason why Ugandans are avoiding banks, what should we do? Because the Katuntu committee, parliamentary committee, did not help us. The intention was directed to Kassekende. But Katuntu told them,
after the man losing the
yes, that Katuntu told them it is a legal problem. It's not Kassekende. But they wanted Kassekende to go because he's a Muganda. For Baganda, Bebanyambi. Buba bagobanga bwe. This is why these boys, arrogant boys, thought that because I was in Uganda, they would incite me. No, me am more influential than Mengo. Tebasobola kunerega mumba bane batekwale akubana lwesa akubana katekala akubana kulubyo nkakubiye paka winkatusiza kakati nkubulya legamba. What do we do after realizing that people fear to go to the banks? One, let the government capitalize the banks, where they have funds from IMF or where, so that the banks can release mortgages and bail out. Two, we must have a law. In Kenya, the central bank does not have powers to close a bank. Yes, a bank is not closable.
Then what is its importance?
Yes, because the central bank is the supervisor of banks. So how can the central bank close the bank? If the bank is performing badly, then it moves in before it is closure.
I see.
It was put the law in Kenya, no. The central bank has the supervisory role. If you fail to run the bank, because there are conditionalities, how do you start a bank? In many cases in Uganda, poor people start banks.
I see.
Yes, and they expect money. Chigundo, for instance, Guliland Bank did not have money, but it was still its checks. We have the clearing house. So, the central bank, you must have a law that any bank that has been recognized by the central bank as a commercial bank cannot be closed. And in case of closure, people will be paid their money in full, not 3 million. Where are the assets?
Here we have deposit protection fund.
And yes, which one? People lost their mortgages. I was talking to somebody this morning, and I said, if I had the powers, I would revise Kuleni Bank. Why? It was easy to talk to Sudir, but it's not easy to talk to a Kenyan manager. Museveni one day time complained. Talking to the Langa, the manager of Stambik, who did not say I thought it was a con man. He rang Sudir, and Sudir he gave the loan 2 days. This man, Kuleni Bank, was getting praises. Was getting awards every year.
Even the time when it was closed.
How was and they gave it to a receiver. A receiver means that all the accounts, the bank is not closed. Because if the bank was, so it was politics. Remove politics from the affairs of money.
I see.
Leave the banks to operate as profitable ventures. Make a competent governor. Make it a responsibility to the Bank of Uganda that if a bank collapses under the lap of Bank of Uganda, the government of Uganda should pay.
I see.
Yes, but I gave my mortgage to Sudir because I knew Sudir. Now my mortgage has been transferred to money I cannot talk to. That's why we lose.
We had a discussion when I was putting up a mortgage.
We must, this man, instead of getting the madness of this man, who still thinks, he dreams, that he still Minister of Finance. No, court, when you call it court, you call it Kaguzen Motoka, Kaguzen Motoka, numbers of finance. Come, Umutuku, Ababa said to Jabata Commission of Inquiry. Kasaija no your bahati. They have undermined, killed the economy of this country. I have tapes, recorded tapes, about this man's involvement in Rea, where government lost $400 million. Yes, Namukubi Bamban Bamutira no Yomusaj. Amasanyala's Kalibu. Museveni borrowed $400 million. Ingenia Rutuama, Nebamugovayo, Oyokitutu, a feria. That's why the Karamajonga chasing her. She stinks like a nuggish. Kitutu stinks like a nuggish. I see. She failed to run a $400 million project to give everybody power. When the president inspected, he found that even the policy were retreating. Whatever committee was Gufunda, where was Bahati? So Bahati, let Bahati sober down. He is no longer in finance. Bahati's role is to market Mukede. And I fear traders are complaining about their security on in Southern Sudan. I heard the Minister of Foreign Affairs saying, Sudan, the situation is fragile. You can look elsewhere. Madam Amelia said, okay, don't go to Rwanda, go elsewhere. If you are pushed from the bedroom, you go to the sitting room, you will end up in the toilet. How come that Kenyans are not complaining for the same? We hosted the Sudanese. We paid by blood.
I see.
We supported the SPLA to the extent that when Galanga was involved in an accident, he was coming from Uganda.
Yes.
To show the importance, the first president to address the Southern Sudan Parliament before even independence was Museveni.
I see.
Why do we always be the losers? We lost in Rwanda, we lost in Congo. We are now hard. What a minister? How can the Minister of Foreign Affairs tell people that you see the problem in Southern Sudan, Ugandans can look elsewhere. Why are we targeted? When you go to Juba, you will find these people, the one neighbor Somalia. The Ethiopians are managing the oil wells. What SPLA was in Kenya, the headquarters, but we hosted the ordinary people here.
And they are still
yes. The Eritreans are controlling ICT. What are we controlling in Southern Sudan?
Would have been in trade.
Does this man, export, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, does he know that at one time there is a rail line, I think Beira, in Mozambique, which was very important to Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe deployed the troops. What if a Pokoto man can come and invade a farm belonging to General Guti and slaughter, spend here 2 days. He had lunch there, slaughtered the Guti, 2 goats and 2 sheep. And he sat there. If Guti's wife was there, would have been now with the second wife of the Pokoto. The Pokoto man moved and went to the farm of this DPP woman. He also had dinner there. He slaughtered the 2 goats and the 2 sheep.
Request
he was looking for his cows.
I see.
After he went, but Guti survived narrowly. If Guti's wife was there, it would have been the second wife of the Pokoto. Now, if the Pokoti man can invade Karamoja, and we have been supporting Ruto, what if we get hooligans in Kenya who attack our vehicles that come from Mombasa to here? Are we going also to change it to Dar es Salaam? Because the argument of the foreign minister is that
if they are not friendly,
live there. We have been chased from Congo. I know people who lost money in Congo. Matadi. People had taken their established business in Congo. We are chased away after the death of Kabila. We come on our heroes. We have seen people now in Southern Sudan. These people are saying, leave. Are we going to end up in a bathroom on the toilet?
I see.
I wish you good luck.